Please rewind this cassette.
Who gives a shit? Number 10, Mission Impossible Fallout. A great follow-up to Rogue Nation, and one of the best action films in years. There's a meta aspect to this movie that I really admired. What really surprises is how many turns it takes within the story. Perhaps the most focused of all the films in the series. By the way, 2018 was a bad year for movies. Just saying. Number 9, A Star Is Born. Yeah, I like the fucking song. I love Bradley Cooper in this. This movie is melodramatic and predictable, but it's all done with grace. I think it's both overrated and underrated. Number 8, Leave No Trace. People forgot about this movie, but it's got Ben Foster in it. Enough said. Number 7, Isle of Dogs. It's stuck around long enough to make it on the list. This isn't a top-tier Anderson flick, but I can't deny that it has a charm in its own way. This is a weird movie, and I have a lot of faith in Anderson's upcoming film, but I'm not going to say I love Isle of Dogs, but it's still good. Number 6, Sorry to Bother You. Sort of like Spike Lee meets Spike Jonze. Heya. I'm not sure if I like where the story goes, but this movie is worth watching for its approach. Very interesting debut. Number 5, Widows, a total guilty pleasure, but a well-made one. If you're a fan of Paul Verhoeven films, I think that Steve McQueen captures a bit of that with this movie. Number 4, Infinity War, way better than I ever thought it would be. The Russos have gotten more ambitious, and the results are exciting. I like this movie a lot more than Endgame. It took me back to some of the awe of seeing the original Avengers, you know, the novelty of it, but much more emotional. It had a lot more weight to it. It's also one of the funniest MCU films. Number 3, Spider-Man Into the Spiderverse. I know a lot of people are picking this one because it was kind of a big surprise how kind of great this was, but awesome return for Lord and Miller, who won an Oscar for this movie. Another superhero movie, Guess I'm a Normie. I really dug this from the minds of Phil Lord and Chris Miller. Everyone was praising this thing to death, and there really isn't much to add. I don't think it's perfect, but there's a youthful energy to this that I'm obsessed with. And in the standout scenes, a hint of something new, something fresh. Overall, it works because the characters are very likable, and there's just something sort of punk rock about it. Number 2, Upgrade. I look at it as a new B-movie classic, but maybe I just bought into the hype. This is such a fun movie, and it left me wanting so much more of it. Why couldn't we get more action scenes? This movie is filled with good ideas and benefits from a lean screenplay from Leigh Whannell. It has to be the biggest surprise of 2018. I think a lot of people don't appreciate this movie enough. Number 1, First Reformed. One of Paul Schrader's best films, and this is someone who has made some of my favorite movies of all time, and certainly written on several of my favorite movies. Ethan Hawke has always been great, so nothing new here. What really makes this work is a great level of restraint. A lot of questions are raised, and we don't get any clear answers. This movie leaves a scar. I was worried this was going to be a slight film, a detached one. But everything comes together in the end to make it all great. There's a truly powerful final scene to this movie. And a Paul Schrader film that isn't maybe a movie I love as much as his, classics, I still think is better than the average film that comes out these days. And I think is far better than a lot of the mediocrity that was 2018. To be honest, a lot of these movies I just enjoyed. I didn't think were genuinely great films. They were just entertaining. First Reformed and Spiderverse, I think, make the best arguments of being legitimately great films when I look back at them, and maybe Leave No Trace. But I have to sit on that one for a while. I think BlacKkKlansman is extremely overrated. The Favorite is good, but I have issues with it that I'll get into later in another video probably. And as for, a lot of the other big movies that came out, Blind Spotting and all that, they're fine. There's nothing wrong with them. So far, 2019's been even worse than 2018. So I don't know how this is going to end up.